Dan Frazier, you're one of the most you're responsible for some of the most iconic Magic cards in the game. Maybe short of Chris Rush, your cards are some of the most well-known cards in the game, the Moxes.
Well, they're known to the older players, okay? And they're known because of the rules and stuff that they do, not because of my artwork. Okay. It's not the artwork that makes them, but let me explain that.
Yeah, please.
At the beginning, I remember I was working for Wizards of the Coast before they did Magic. And not many people can say that. I was called up by Jesper, the art director, and he said he wanted to do the Magic thing. And I asked him, well, what's the assignment? And I was just an illustrator, kind of fresh to the business. But this is like in 92 or so. And he said they want to do some Magic cards. And I go, okay, well, what's a Magic? What is it? And so he said, well, it's about the size of a card, and you mean it's like an eighth of a page. Because that's the way we thought of things. It's a page in a book or kind of stuff. So it's an eighth of a page. He said, well, no, you only get the top half. Okay, so it's that little top half. But no, it's inside of a box in the top half. Okay. So you don't get the whole top half, you get the part of the box. And okay. Well, it has to be in color. Okay, you want not just a black and white illustration, and it has to be in color. And oh, by the way, it has to be recognizable from a distance, because somebody's playing with this and it's going to be seen across the table. By the way, it has to be recognizable upside down.
Yeah, upside down is the big one.
Upside down and across the table. Okay, and so I get the idea that it's supposed to be some kind of like a really simple icon. Okay, like a logo. And he said, I asked also, what's the compensation? Well, he said, it's $100 per card. $100 per card. That's, oh, and by the way, 50 of it is in cash, but the cash doesn't come until we've made a profit. And the other $50 is in stock.
Yeah.
Which is useless because they can't sell the stock. It's okay if you want to paper your bathroom wall with it, but you just, so it's basically $50 a promise in the future. And how many did you want? 18 or 12, whatever. Okay. And when did you want them? As soon as possible, like in 2 weeks or whatever. So I cranked them out. And so the concept I was going for was how fast could I do it? How easily could I do it? It was nothing about art, expression, or whatever. It just do it. And so that's where how I got picked for those iconic cards. Well, he went through a list and he was listing the names of the different cards. Like Earthquake and okay, all right. He'd go through a whole bunch of cards, and I say, okay, I'll take that one. I'll take this, and I'll take this. And it got to this thing called a Mox Jet or a Mox Sapphire. I know there's some other ones. So the jewelry, I'll take these jewelry ones, okay, because I just do some jewelry. And I picked all 18 of them. I think it was 18. And I did those, turned them in, and then he asked me, well, can you do some more? And so he gave me another set of 18. Okay, so that's why I did so many in that first set. And that was a lot of cards.
Yeah. This episode of Eternal Durdles is sponsored by Cardmill, the first automated scanner and sorter built specifically for trading card game players. With its intentionally compact design, Cardmill uses AI-powered recognition to identify each card and sync inventory with real-time pricing, batching up to 300 cards at a time by name, set, color, or type. Collection data is securely stored in the Cardmill network, giving players full access to their cards through an easy-to-use web portal. Cardmill supports Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Flesh and Blood, Disney Lorcana, Star Wars Unlimited, and many more to come. Created by software engineer and longtime Magic the Gathering player Jonathan Dumanis, Cardmill launches on July 22nd on Kickstarter, with early bird pricing starting at $350. Backers receive lifetime access to all software updates and new features. Go to cardmill.com to learn more and reserve your path to the future of card sorting. I think also famously one of the things he gave you guys as art direction was no white backgrounds.
I don't remember that.
I only bring that up because your backgrounds are some of the more iconic parts of those cards.
Well, the background, like on some of those things, is just okay. Here's what you do: you draw a little picture, you Xerox it, you cut it out. But then on the background, you take a small card and you take some marbled paper, soak it in water. You paint the board with acrylic, a matte acrylic, and then you brayer the marbled paper onto it. Let it dry, and then you put that picture onto it and brayer that on. And so you just have this. That's quick, okay? And so that's why you see some of the same background paper, not the same one, but the same paper on different cards. Okay,
that's wild.
And then sometimes we're taking paint, splattered it on, or whatever. There's all kinds of ways of doing that stuff. But the idea was doing it quickly. But the other thing that I have to give the props to Jesper, who was the art director. What he did was he made sure that our names, illustrator Dan Frazier, was on that card. Now, this didn't happen in any other part of the industry. And it made my entire future possible. And the future of so many other artists that we got recognition for our work. So that was real. And he didn't mention this right at the beginning. Oh, and royalties. Royalties? What the hell are royalties on a? I mean, that's unheard of. So that turned out to be fairly lucrative. So I want to say right here, at this point, I am the luckiest artist you have ever seen. It's not because of my talent. I want to get that straight. I'm mediocre at the best, but it was being at the right place and saying yes at the right time. Usually that results in failure, but they were desperate. So
yeah, it seems like they needed to crank out a lot of artwork in a very short amount of time, especially what Alpha was like some 300 something cards. So yeah.
Yeah, I did something like 12% or 18%. I don't know what it was, but that's okay.
So what were you doing before you got connected with Wizards of the Coast?
I'd been an art teacher for 20 years. And now, so I started to get into the illustration part and with Dragon Magazine and that usual stuff. But I'd always been an art teacher kind of thing. So wasn't that far. And I'd always loved Tolkien. Okay. And Edgar Rice Burroughs. So I think, I'm not sure now what the scope of the artist, but I'm probably the eldest. I'm the oldest. And some people have called me a legend, and I call myself a relic. You know, a relic is, do you know what that is? A relic is like a bone cake. A reliquary is like a little glass case where you put the bones of a saint. Okay. And I'm in the desiccated stage. Okay. So, yeah, my time has come and gone, and all that's left now is the legend, and that doesn't make.
Well, you know, another word for relic is artifact.
Artifact, yeah. Did a lot of artifact, yes. Yes.
They use an apropos word, you know.
Okay, no, a little trace, yeah.
So you know, Jesper brought you on for Alpha. Do you have any like stories from that early period that you'd like to share?
I'm afraid that my attorney has asked me to not discuss.
Totally fair. Totally fair.
No. No. All I want to say is that at the early time, it was pretty fast and loose. I mean, when he gave me that assignment of doing the mocks, as I said at the end when I said I was doing these 5. Well, what's a mox? And he says, well, we don't know. And now, when they give you an assignment, there's an entire history. There are books. There's
a lore catalog. Yeah.
You go to, and there's 80 some odd pages or 200 some odd pages that you go through. Then you have to go through lots of passwords and gee, it's a real mess, especially when the passwords don't work. Okay. And I have a very, very adversarial relationship with passwords. Actually, technology. I just don't get it. I'm too old school. And besides, a little bit of you want to call it. Let's see. My doctor said that it's early onset rigor mortis.
Jeez.
Yeah. Everything's getting all fossilized, and I don't learn much. I don't know how I did something last week, let alone this week. So,
since you're enjoying the show, please like and subscribe the video. It helps the channel grow.
Support Eternal Durdles on Patreon so we can create even more content and cover events.
Patreon supporters get an ad-free RSS feed. You can even join our deck donation tier to get your very own episode.
Join the Durdle Maniacs at patreon.com/Eternal Durdles. Now back to the show.
So that's where I am. There have been a number of stages in my career where I've been lucky. Number one was finding the right wife.
I'm right there with you.
But number two, in the magic stuff, it's been finding and getting asked on at the beginning. And of course, you're going to ask that question about how do you get to be a magic artist? Well, number one, in the early times, they were desperate, so I got on. I got lucky. Lucky. Now, you have to take a look at the art that's being done, and then you have to take a look at what your skill level is, what you can produce, and then you have to say, well, why would they bother to use the new guy instead of the ones that are tried and true? I mean, it used to be that there was a pool of artists of 100 or something like that they could choose from or offer the job to and get declined. And now they have the pool that extends around the world. So if you were the best drawer, what a word, the best drawer in your high school class, that's pretty cool. But then if you were the best artist at your art school in college, that's pretty cool. And then you had to be the best at the illustration in the area, in the world, and in the world. My God, the bar is set so high. The talent has to be there. So what you can do is you can be the best, or learn, study, work hard, and get really good. And then that will ensure you a life of poverty.
Yeah. As a former photographer, I'm right there with you. I know
Exactly.
how that is.
It's like trying to get into the NBA or do the photography or something like that.
Yeah, photojournalism doesn't exactly pay the bills.
No. But I see you're collecting some art.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I only have prints, but this is one of my favorite Hoover pieces. And then I've got some other stuff scattered around as well.
Okay, well, you said only prints. Well, guess what? I think, well, if I collect art, I like the prints, the etchings from the old masters. And I have some around here. I mean, it's etchings and drawings are where the real art is. The rest of it is application of skills, going to the painting and all that process, which are really considerable. But the inspiration, the life are in those initial thumbnails, initial preparatory drawings. That's where it is. That's an amazing stuff.
Yeah, the genesis of the idea, like putting it down initially.
The other thing about my stuff is that next month I'm going to be 80. What that really actually means is I've had time. I've had time to delve into different aspects of art, whether it's printmaking or painting, drawing, pottery, all kinds of things. Okay, and learning all the skills in that adequately, of course not, but to play around in it and figure out what to do. So I can now use I have the choice of using the medium and the techniques for the job. And that is, and they're changing all the time. and I get really flummoxed with like Photoshop and all those, or like, what the hell is this camera thing that we got going here? Okay, I mean, I don't know how to get on and transport a file across and download, and what are the parameters and what are all the numbers and stuff. Oh my God, that's just okay.
Dealing with resolutions and stuff. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, what do I mean? It's so fast nowadays. In the background, you'll see a couple of paintings. One is that tiny little one up here in the corner, and that's the little red, yellow and blue thing, and that's the Horn of Deafening.
Horn of Deafening from Legends, right?
Deafening, one of the early ones. I don't know what set it is or anything like that, but it was the Horn of Deafening. It's my wife's, and so she gets to that's hers. It's not ever going to go for sale. But down in here, you see a little thing with a swamp and some orchids. Well, that's when I was. That's something like in the style of Heed, a Hudson River School oil painter that did swamps and hummingbirds and things like that. So I played with that. I learned all kinds of things. Imagine this. Imagine there's a difference between doing art, which is doing a beautiful piece that comes from inside here, okay, and solving it for yourself, or some Yahoo art director speaking as the mouthpiece for some other Yahoo, I'm just using the terms, people that want something done for a project. It comes to me and they give me a problem. This is interesting. I get to solve a new problem. Take this problem. We want to have a cloak of invisibility. What?
Yeah, come again?
You want me to paint a cloak of invisibility. Okay, here. I don't know if you can see this.
Wow. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so how do you get a cloak of invisibility? Well, that was one way. But that's the thing, is that it pushes, when the illustrations push your imagination as to how am I going to solve this problem? And sometimes it gets to be a bit difficult. Okay. And then you feel so good when you do get it solved. Now, another part that has made it really well for me is that I came across a man that became my agent. And this is a fella that he gives me assignments. In other words, he'll send me a bunch of cards to sign or some to do altars on and stuff like that. It is that is much more lucrative than working for magic. Okay, and it's kind of fun, but sometimes it gets a little boring. But sometimes it pushes your thing when they say, "Well, we want you to do this and this and this and this and this," and it's like working with 2x4s on a little. I mean, the delicacy that you needed just isn't there. I mean, when you have to do little miniatures, that's tough. But he has got, here's what he did. And it's not just for me, but what he did is he looked at the market out there, and everybody, because we had our names on the cards, wanted signatures. Not everybody, people wanted signatures on the card. And so he would collect the signatures, collect the cards from people, and send the ones that had my name on it to me, and I'd sign them and send them back to him. Or we'd go to a show and we'd sign the cards and whatever. But what he did is he had us, instead of a tip jar, okay, where you'd make $3 every half hour, okay, it wasn't feasible economically to travel to some place and sign. It just wasn't feasible. But he made it so that we made enough money to be able to cover the hotels and the flights and pay for our time and all that. People think, well, it's just a signature. Well, guess what? It's a lot more than that. I mean, it takes a week to go to a place because you got to get ready for it. You got to fly there. You got to go and pay for the rooms and pay for the flights and the table. They charge you $1,000 for a table. And that's a cheap, they pay, other people have to pay a lot more sometimes. And I'm getting tired of this traveling because of my hips and my legs. And I just don't have the energy to do it, but it hurts. But I do it because one of the reasons I feel an obligation to the to Magic, to all the people that play it, and all the people that have made it possible, the industry, whatever. Like if they want to have a complete collection of something, well, frequently I have to be part of that. And so there's an obligation I feel I have to pay back because I've been so lucky. I'd have to share it. It's amazing what some of these prices are at. I don't get it. I don't collect.
Yeah, I always thought, like, seeing as a kid, seeing the names at the bottom of those cards, every artist had like a full collection. Like that's like baseline, like as a kid, I was like, yeah, you guys have a full collection of Magic cards, but like that's not always the case.
I don't even know how to play the game.
That's wild.
Yeah, I don't. At one time I had a deck, they have designer decks. Okay. I guess that's what you want to do. But what I did is I had a Frazier deck. Okay. And, supposedly it opened really well and had some skeletons and stuff in it. It was black because that's the only land I had. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
great early starts on that deck, though.
Yeah. It worked. But I stay out of all the controversies. I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good stance to have. It's just I'm just doing the art, There you go.
Yeah, but it's nice to. One of the benefits was, especially in the early days, was I was able to take my wife and travel to various cities like Las Vegas and let her loose and let her have fun. And then we ended up going to like all over Europe and whether it's Rome or Copenhagen or just lots of places, Italy and Spain and even Yokohama. I mean, these are things you wouldn't get to do if you didn't.
Yeah, finding the right high-end cards for legacy, vintage, pre-modern, or old-school Magic can be challenging. That's where our friends 3-for-1 Trading come in.
3-for-1 Trading is one of Europe's top Magic the Gathering retailers with an incredible selection of premium singles, sealed product, and even full sets, all available with free, fast, and secure worldwide shipping.
They add fresh inventory every Wednesday with weekly deals and discounts. So whether you're hunting for that elusive piece of power, a legacy staple, or something spicy for your collection, they've got you covered.
First high-end orders over $500 or 500 euros, use the code EDFREE to get free worldwide shipping.
Check them out now at the number 3, the number 4, the number 1.gg/ED. That link takes you right to the shop and helps support the channel.
Huge thanks to 3-for-1 Trading for supporting the legacy community. Now back to the show.
This is one of the things about Magic is like, play the game, be in the game, but like you get to see the world if you're traveling around for events. We're doing Lucca for Eternal Weekend this year, so I'm pretty excited about going out to Rome, Rome and Florence and stuff. Taking the wife with me as well,
Well, yeah, it's an interesting little. They do show you around and all that. Lucca's kind of fun. That's a nice. But see, Magic gave me a job or career, and it's allowing you to have. I mean, it's giving you something to do.
Yeah, this is the void I get to shout into, and that keeps me sane.
Sanity, it's overrated. Okay.
So I have to ask, what's your favorite piece that you've worked on for Magic?
Well, it's been a long career, so there've been a number of different ones. One was one time I did a portrait of a fellow by the name of Richard Garfield. But I did a portrait of him as a jester.
We saw that. That's up in Mark's room, right?
Yeah, it is. It's in Mark's room.
That's a great one. I really love that one.
No, that was fun. But there's also the Orchid Swamp from, I forget which set it was, but it was kind of like this painting right back here. Okay, and that one is a real fun one to do because I got to use those skills on doing that swamp. Onslaught. That's it.
Onslaught. Okay. And
that was a real nice one. But there have been so many, and then some of one of the worst things is that you get famous for doing a few things, such as the Moxes, and they're terrible pieces of artwork. Okay, and they keep, and a lot of the other things in the early times, they were terrible, and they keep getting shoved back in your face about how awful it was. It's like having a terrible ex-wife that keeps showing up. I don't have one, but it's it's a terrible reminder of some of the bad stuff. And some of the stuff was just awful. And some of the stuff was pretty damn fine. You wanted to know what it is that I like. Okay, I'll show you one. Okay, I'm back. This is a still life. It's of some, this is what I like to do. It's a still life of some onion rings. Okay, and if you can look at it, you can see that what I'm painting is not the still rings or the paper. I'm painting the light. Okay, and that is an interesting kind of thing to do. Simplify, get rid of all extraneous detail that's not necessary, and then do a number of things that make it seem like it's glowing. Now that's a nice piece of artwork. It's not going to show up in something like a magic card, but
not till we get our next unset, right? Onion Rings of Destiny.
So I liked the old way of working with an art director. Now this guy was the art director, and he was the conduit between the magic writers and the whatever and the artist. But now they have a lot of different art directors, and it's owned by Hasbro, and it gets pretty damn complicated.
Yeah, maybe overly polished to a particular level. The process, I should say.
Well, I'm not even talking about the artwork. Which is, nowadays you're getting cover artwork to go on a little tiny card.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, this stuff is phenomenal. The artists nowadays are incredible. Okay. So, did you have any other questions?
I think the only thing I have left is I wanted to share with you what my favorite piece of yours was. And it's Apprentice Wizard. It's one of my all-time favorite Magic cards. It's one of the cards that got me into the game.
Now you got me curious.
Apprentice Wizard. Here, I'll pull it up real fast. Let's bring it up. It's one of the early ones from Alpha. Actually, it's from Dark. All right, let's share the screen here. There we go. That? Yeah. That's one of the cards that, it just sparked my imagination as a kid. It was one of the first ones I ever saw.
That's an illustration. And what makes it an illustration is that it's conveying a scene of curiosity or whatever, like the Apprentice. This is the Apprentice?
The Apprentice Wizard, yeah.
Okay, the Apprentice Wizard, yeah. It's like, and that's where I'd get a friend of mine or something like that to pose and do it. I'm not even sure if the background was marble paper or if I just played with it or what. It just. But what intrigued you about this?
This just painted a scene for me. I was just like, what's going on? There's a wizard here. He's looking at this wand. And this is before I understood how to even play the game. So I was just like, I want to be doing this. I was a D&D kid. So, I learned D&D 2 years prior. And I was like, D&D, but I can play in the car on the ride from New Jersey to Ohio. I'm in, But cards like this really just sparked my imagination. And the background for me, that just blew my mind. I was just this is something completely what's going on with the background? Where's this wizard at? Is this some kind of astral plane? That just sparked my imagination as a kid.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to get your people involved in your artwork. That's good. One time I had a problem. I was at an art show or at a Gen Con, and there was an art show there, and had one of my pieces that was hanging there, and it happened to be a dragon in a dungeon fighting some dwarves over some treasure, and there was a treasure, spilled on the floor, and there's the architecture and all this, and there was a kid there, about 19 or something, and we were talking about it, and he was telling me about what was going on. He was telling me that either it was the dragon trying to steal the treasure from the dwarves, or was the dwarves trying to steal the treasure from the dragons. Or he was trying to tell me what it meant, okay? What was actually going on. He knew, and he's trying to explain it to me.
That's amazing.
Okay. And that's interesting that people can get so involved in that kind of stuff that it's wow. Sometimes I just don't understand the power or the influence. That's it. The influence that my stuff has out there sometimes, and I don't see why it should.
I mean, even Mox is like, for me, I was just like, I didn't know what a Mox was, you know, same as you. But when I saw them, I was like,
I don't know what the rule is.
This must be powerful, you know, like, you know, like I looked at the card, I was like, it's there by itself. It has to, by its singularity, it must be very powerful, you know?
Yeah. It must be. But they don't pay me to play. They pay me to paint. There's a drawing right here, a painting. Okay. And it's a painting that's got an orchid and it's got two rocks. And this is where one rock is saying to the other, go ahead, ask her out.
That sums up a lot of my early Magic childhood, actually, right there.
Yes,
like
go
between
ahead,
13 and 15.
Two rocks. They're perfectly fine rocks, but that orchid is way out of their class. But that was another thing of playing around with some different styles and stuff. Okay. And up here this is Frazettas.
Yeah.
Frazettas, he did a portfolio of 9 plates for Lord of the Rings. Let's see if I can show you. Yeah, I can show. And this is where I do my work. I've got on the walls over there more of the paintings, and you have a little bit of where I keep reference books, which are no longer functional because you have the computers.
And got some Moxes framed over there.
And and this thing over here, that painting, that's an etching by Goya. Okay, and then the painting happens right there.
Awesome. Got to have a lot of light.
Yeah, and finally we're getting some light. This is the reason. That's the reason why I'm calling you now, is because it's been raining all morning and I didn't have enough light to do my painting. I had to do some color work. I didn't have enough light to actually work. So I called you, and
it's perfect on people. That overcast is like exactly what you want on people. When I'm shooting weddings and it starts to rain, I normally tell the bride, I'm like, this is actually good. You're gonna have great photos.
But I had to have enough light. I do have enough light now, and so saying goodbye. But now we have the light from the right and the light from the left, and you get the interesting shadows down the front.
And you get the Rembrandt.
Yeah.
Close.
Now I have done Rembrandts. Let's see, Rembrandt. I painted replicas that repaint 3 different Rembrandts. Okay, I mean, so I learned how to paint like an old master.
Yeah, that's
with the underpaintings and the overpaintings and the traditional materials and techniques. And we have it so much easier now because now we just squeezed it out of a tube. We don't have to grind it up.
Yeah.
The invention of the aluminum, the little metal tubes with a cap on it, really changed everything.
When I went to Venice a few years ago, I wandered into just a random shop where they sold the pigments and stuff. It's just like some powder. A guy's in there like selling powder to people, and then he's like, "Yeah, this guy's an artist." The guy comes in literally dressed like he has been living in Venice since the 1300s. You know, the cloak, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Buys like a handful of powder from him. And he goes, "Yeah, that guy's just gonna go home, throw some water in that, mix it up, and start painting."
Yeah, I understand that. One time I took some lead and put it in a jar of vinegar and made some lead flake white. That's the way they used to do it.
Yeah.
Flake white out of lead. Okay, I did it. I don't do that anymore.
Anything that can make it a little bit easier to produce art, right? Yeah.
If anybody wants to see any of my work, you just
if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button, and I'll make sure I get links and stuff. You can also support us on
Patreon.com/EternalDurdles, which now offers the new Deck Donation tier.
During July, the Deck Donation patrons will get a 2-for-1 special, where both Phil and I will run your deck through a league.
I'll play literally whatever you want.
So brew your spiciest. Well, Dan,
stock us up with
it's been a pleasure to have you on. I really appreciate you sharing your time with us. Thanks for watching.